Hey Pisces, welcome. What I'd like to do for you now is a 3-card spread. Recent past, current situation, and moving forward, with a couple of clarifiers, and finally an oracle card. So what I feel like is going on here in the recent past is there is just this, I feel like there's either some kind of uncertainty about a certain, thing you're doing, like a project you're working on. There's some kind of, I guess, like an exchange of resources. And it does feel a little bit like you're overextending yourself with something. Like, I'm wondering if there's a need to kind of reassess what you're kind of fixated on right now. Like, what is your main, it's like almost, it doesn't feel necessarily like a career, but it's like, I think that you've been putting a lot of effort into something, hoping for a return on the investment. And I don't explicitly know what this could be. I don't know if it is, career, or if it is, a relationship. It could be something for each of you, because these are quite general and it's kind of touching on different aspects of the psyche, which, honestly is very Pisces. But it feels like there's this general feeling of something that has pulled you in a certain direction and taken a lot out of you, and something that has not been, this isn't something, fresh. This is something that has been in your life for a while, and for an extended period, because with the current energy, there's the Hangman and then the Seven of Cups. And what it feels like to me is there has been a long period of time in which you have been in a state of confusion, whether you know it or not. It's like what it feels like to me is something got you in, it pulled you in, and you kind of didn't question it. It's almost like I hate to say, like, you got, trauma bonded or something like that. It's like you put a lot of time and energy into something, and for the longest time, it's like you've been a bit delusional about what you've been getting out of it. And I feel like that period of just showing up, year after year, day after day, week after week, and doing the thing to develop this or to invest in it, it was sort of a deceptive scenario that maybe you were sold a bill of goods that wasn't true, or you were too young to know the difference. It's not, see, I don't believe in, we're all going through stages of life. I believe that any kind of, you should have known better, that's victim blaming. I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't, it doesn't seem like it's just a terribly toxic situation, but it's almost like maybe you thought you were going to get something out of this, that you're now realizing with this Ace of Swords and Three of Swords that, like, damn, that wasn't what I thought it was at all. And it doesn't, I'm going to pull a couple clarifiers, but it doesn't feel like abject grief or devastation. It just feels like this piercing sense of, like, oh shit, like that really wasn't what I thought it was. And what I have been, believed I was getting out of that was not necessarily correct. But at the same time, with that clarity, it's almost like, for me, that feels like freedom. That feels like emotional freedom and mental freedom. Instead of being locked into this, it's almost like, oh shit, okay, well, now what? And I think that's positive. So let me pull some clarifiers. Yeah, see, you got the sun there. Yeah, okay. Well, look, The good news is that there is a positive outcome to realizing that I really, this does feel very much like a relationship, or at least maybe a familial, some kind of, it could be a community too. Like it just feels very people oriented, not necessarily career, but it could be, obviously you work with people. So, even when you get emotional cards or people cards, it's like those still kind of could be work related, but it just really feels like, this is almost like a belief system. This kind of gives me the feeling of like a commune, like, or some kind of belief that you're playing your part in a community or in a family or in a friendship, group, and you put a lot of work into it. Like if this is your friendship group, it's almost like I'm the one who always comes up with the ideas for things to do. I'm always, looking for the events. I'm always getting people together. If this is work, it's like I'm always like pulling up for the group. Like I'm always, you can always count on me to cover your shift, or like there's just something about in putting a lot into, doing a lot of energetic exchange with something, hoping for like a positive outcome. And it's like, it almost feels like maybe you even think that like, if I grow this friendship with someone, it will turn into a relationship. Or, I hate to say this too, this has got situationship vibes to it too. Like, oh, well, and that's a metaphor for a lot of different scenarios that isn't necessarily like a sexual thing or like, dating or whatever. But you think that you're going to put in the effort and someone or something is going to inevitably appreciate it. And it's like you've been laboring under this delusion for a long time. And in reality, it's not that. I don't know what it is, but it's like the process of recognizing that this is not what you're seeking. It actually breaks open a space for you to see a positive future, or realign yourself with what is a bright spot, what is positive and uplifting, and what is kind of pulling you towards a new direction. But let me get an oracle card. Maybe we can get a little more specificity. The Smith. Overthinking, taking action. Yeah, I mean, it speaks to, I think this is this represents the card of overthinking. Like there is a brooding over something for a very long period of time, and the reason it's still so confusing, or it's been so confusing, is because it was a delusion, or it wasn't the proper set of facts in the first place. And so it's almost like taking action feels like the Ace of Swords, where it's like, okay, now I'm seeing things clearly. What actually does bring me happiness? What does bring me joy and peace? This, these are important things to actually experience too, because there's a lot in contrasting. Knowing what you don't want anymore, knowing what doesn't work, knowing what is kind of a waste of time. There's no shame in, going through that. It's just now you have to move forward with decisiveness. And, you got to feel it to heal it. And the Three of Swords is, a card of heartbreak, but it's also a card of like, that, there it is. Now you know. And so I think in this scenario, it's like extremely positive. Like there is just a lot of, it's a bit abstract, but it is moving forward in a way that clears out this past, kind of slog, this kind of negative drag, and, breaks it up. And now you can move forward with clarity and find what really makes you happy. So I think that's great. And that's what I got for you. So thank you for joining me. And I hope to see you again. Take care.